I'm Kevin. I am from San Diego, and I'm not quite sure why I was given this topic. I think it's because they want to make me feel relevant, or it's like, no one wants to do this, just give it to Kevin, let him do it. So I want to, my disclaimer is I am not an expert in surface technology. I'm going to present the information to you as more of a way to hopefully open discussion and dialogue rather than me telling you what this is all about. My disclosures are I am a consultant to a couple of companies, and at the end of this talk, you might wonder why I should not be a consultant for Titan Spine, because in the process of getting ready for this talk early this morning, I was given the slide presentation from Titan Spine, and I plagiarized the hell out of it to be able to do this talk. So it might be bent a little bit towards that company, although I would say I believe Titan Spine is the company that brought this technology to the marketplace, and they certainly have some of the better products out there, perhaps, and so we'll be covering a lot of their material. But before I do that, let's get a show of hands. So again, to really make this a sort of an open dialogue session, how many of us in this room use PEEK, primarily PEEK, for our inner body grafts and fusion? Okay. Cho, you are not allowed to ask anything because you have way too many questions. So. Okay. How many of us use primarily titanium? Okay. So more of us use more PEEK, okay? And then probably Cho, like some of us, probably use a combination of both, depending on who buys lunch that week, right? Okay. So at the end of the day, I'm hoping that we'll all be convinced, all of us should be using titanium only, because perhaps the discussion that was had before us, it'll become irrelevant in terms of using pedicle screws because of how titanium grafts are so superior, right? So we'll cover that a little bit. So all of us have patients like this in our practice. We have one to diffuse, a degenerative spine. We stuck in a graft, preferably titanium, because that's what was in the marketplace first. Most of us use that. And then we get the pictures, and then we look at the fusion, and it's just not that great, right? It looks like there's something there, maybe a little bit of bone formation. Many months out, it just doesn't look that impressive, and I don't see really solid 100% fusion. But yeah, this patient comes to your office and says, "Thank you, doc. I love you. You fixed my back. I'm doing great," right? So I have a lot of patients like that in my practice, but I certainly do worry about the fact that this patient hasn't fused and wonder, perhaps a year and a half out later, they're going to come back and say, "I need a revision surgery," right? Okay, so hence, what can we do to improve our fusion in our patients, and what can we do to our grafts that we stick in the inner body space to help that occur? So that's where surface technology comes in. And I'm sorry, one more slide. So if the patient, you did take the patient back, and I've done this with my own patients as well as patients from other surgeons, where you do go and take out that PEEK cage, and you do see that there's essentially just a lot of fibrous stuff around it, right? There's really a lot of good bone incorporation. Certainly bone didn't grow into the plastic that you stuck into the patient's body, right? And so we do know that, and I think there's certain things that we know for sure, right? Although we can still get good fusion and sometimes really solid fusion with a PEEK inner body graft, we do see, and literature has proven, as this paper has in a recent meeting in 2014, that the plastic, the polyether ketone PEEK, is more likely to cause an inflammatory fibrotic reaction as opposed to a really good solid fusion. That's sort of been shown over and over again, as well as seen in our own clinical practices, whereas perhaps the titanium cages that are coming out that have really surface technology is going to start causing more and better fusion because they're able to do more osteogenic promotion, right? Okay? So again, that's the sort of the talk I'm trying to give to you today. But before we do that, let's think about this for a second, because it is really, is it a revolution? And some of us would say it is. Is it like when pedicle screws came into the marketplace, which was obviously before our time, almost everybody in this room, right? But before we put in pedicle screws, we just did online fusion, but pedicle screws revolutionized spine fixation, right? Infuse, right? That revolutionized what we do with biologics, right? So is titanium or surface technology going to revolutionize fusion so that we don't no longer need pedicle screws, perhaps? Is that possible? Wouldn't that be great if we just scraped around the disc space and stuck something in and we're done, right? So is that the next big thing? Like Titan Spine would argue with you, yes, it is. but I believe there's a lot of discussion, a lot of desire to eventually be able to do less of screw implantation or screw fixation, and that it really is just the graft itself that may lead to fusion, right? So could that happen? So the idea of surface technology is essentially biomimicry, right? We want to create fusion by seeing what the body does in terms of how it fuses itself. We've got to create a surface when we make the in-plate contact our graft that something takes place that's very similar to what nature does and bone forms. And again, plastic is not what we have in our body. It's a foreign object. And so is it really going to fuse to that plastic that we stick in there when we put PEEK cages into our interspaces, right? So biomimicry is an approach to emulate nature, right? So here are a couple of electron microscopic pictures of an actual bone. Do we have a pointer? Yeah. Is it this one? Okay, so there's actual bone, right? Where if you cut away the bone, you see all these pits, called osteoclastic pits, where bone cells can go and make bone, right? But the surface technology is all about that. They are recreating these pits where osteoclastic cells can go and create fusion to occur, right? Again, this is what surface technology is all about. So biomimicry, and this is again a very nice electron microscopic image provided to me by Titan Spine to show that when you put in a progenitor cell, it does find a way. It just travels across it and attaches to it. These osteoclastic-like pits for cellular attachment. The surface it simulates the same pits that you would see in the bone itself, right? And this is all made possible because, again, revolutionary in the world, as you know, nanotechnology is sort of the thing to talk about these days, and that's what this is all about. On a microscopic, on a nanoscopic level, we're able to create these pits where these progenitor cells go on to fuse, and they not only do they fuse, not only do they attach to these pits that have been created, there's also been a lot of studies, which I'll present, where there's all these factors that we know that bone production or bone fusion need, like alpha-2 and beta-1 integrins that are in much more massive quantities in these surface technologies than they are in just things like PEEK, right? Okay, but surface technology is sort of being done today in two different ways, it seems like, okay? You can either take the material, going back. You can either take the material and you can take the titanium, whatever it is, and you cut it down and you change it and you alter the surface, okay? Or you can use 3D printing, which is, again, revolutionary, as we know, and there'll be more slides about it, but that's how 3D cages are made, right? You sort of start out with a surface and you add to it and you build something to it, build something on it, which is 3D technology printing and 3D printing of titanium cages. So let me present both of these ways that are being done and give you arguments about which is better and what are some of the problems of the two different ways. Again, I've got a slight bent toward Titan Spine because these are all their slides, but there is some argument that one may be somewhat superior to the other. And this is a picture from the catalog that Titan Spine has in terms of their various different kinds of cages. They've certainly made just about everything with the surface etched titanium implants that, from the data that I will present to you, to say that it has some validity to be used in our clinical practices. So this is one of or a couple of graphs or a couple of things that they shared with me to talk about what they're finding in terms of results with their surface technology in the laboratory. So I do want to tell you that endoskeleton is their first generation titanium etched implants. Now they have NanoLock, which is their second generation of implants. And supposedly, when you compare the two, that there is a lot more osteoclastic pits in the new NanoLock technology, 1,000 times more. And again, all these different factors that we know are all very valuable in terms of bone formation and stimulating these cells to create bone are found in greater quantities in their new second generation implants. So they're also having iterations in their implants and making it better. Is there data that it's a far superior product? So there's not a lot of literature. It's relatively new technology, as you know. And what literature there is seems to indicate that it is as good as what we've been using. And I just got this one paper, just to cite to you that essentially that when you look at the technology of doing TLIF with using P cages versus the titanium etched implants, the diffusion rates are very good. They're in the 90 percentile, which I don't understand because I can never achieve 90 percentile in my clinical practice. But nevertheless, they're very good and it's equivalent to what we're doing now. So if you say, well, if this is exactly what we're doing now, the results we're getting, then why do we change my practice and use titanium implants? So they also provided me with this data, which may convince you maybe you should all be using Titan spine implants because of the fact that, and again, I want you to think of this as a industry-sponsored study because Titan Spine did hire Optum, which is an affiliated organization with United Healthcare, to see what is the cost difference when you use a titanium etch cages as opposed to using the competitor, which probably was a PEEK implant, that there is an overall savings of about $11,000, and that was primarily due to the following. The patient stayed in the hospital shorter, they didn't come back with complaints that required medications, injections, whatever it was, and lastly, there was a lower revision rate, secondary surgery, whatever it may be. But perhaps if the companies are able to conduct these studies, or if the insurance companies do it themselves and are able to prove to you that certain devices are better than others financially, then maybe we'll be driven to use these implants in the future. So there's no data out there that says that titanium etched implants, especially from Titan Spine, is far superior and gives you far superior fusion rates. But there are some data that are starting to suggest that perhaps clinically and financially is better. Oh, am I out of time?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Then I will go to the next couple of slides. P cages, in terms of the, when you add stuff to it, it's essentially when you add the titanium to the surface of the implants, the problem is it comes off. And that's been reported. There are papers that suggest that. So maybe that's not the kind of implant you want to be using with titanium. Lastly, 3D printing. And we know that that is a revolution in the sense that it is certainly being done by almost all companies. But there is some data that's coming out. Perhaps these porous cages are not nearly as good, that there's more fibrous formation rather than bony formation when you're looking at electron microscopy pictures. And then lastly, I want to end by telling you that there is some reports coming out that these 3D titanium cages are not nearly as strong. And therefore, there are some breakages that are occurring because of the fact that that is the case, to the point that there are some reports of about 50 cases or so where there are some breakage of the cages. The majority of them were porous 3D printed devices, and they've even had one of the companies had to do some recall of their titanium 3D printed cages. So it has also been recommended that in obese patients, which is almost all my practice, that you shouldn't be using these 3D titanium cages, 3D printed cages, because of the fact that they tend to fail either intraoperatively or later on they break and collapse. Okay, so to me, I want to end by saying to you, after this presentation, perhaps you should go back and think about whether you'll be using titanium cages or not. I don't know if you'll change your practice, but I also want to end by asking a question. I'm not quite sure it's a fusion rate that is going to make a difference. Maybe what we're achieving and what we should be shooting for is not fusion, but stabilization, which may be fusion, but some of my patients are not fused and are still doing quite well. Okay, that's the end of my slides. Thank you, guys.